Let's talk about Virgo, Pisces. We just went through an eclipse portal. It is currently September 24th, and I wanted to log this video because we have just kind of went through the rebirth of the second new moon in Virgo, which is rare as well. This is September 24th, 2025. And I'm going to kind of just record and talk in a very informal way to kind of share my thoughts off the cuff after going through this eclipse portal on the Pisces Virgo Axis. You know, I am currently walking through campus, the U of O campus here in Oregon, Eugene, Oregon. And so if I am a little bit breathy, that's why, because I am strolling through campus to get some fresh air. Last night, I had a big purge, which I expected to happen at some point. You know, I'm very well aware of the Virgo Pisces axis, as this is also where my nodes of fate fall in my own natal chart. So I'm very aware of this axis, and it's not new. But the thing about Virgo Pisces is when you have Neptune up in the mix and Mercury up in the mix, what you essentially have is sometimes the messaging or the communication or the conversation or whatever it is. Because if we're talking about Virgo, we're talking about Mercury and the mercurial ways, where Mercury really wants to bring messages through. And then when we're talking about Neptune and Pisces, we're talking about the other side of the veil. So really what this axis is bringing messages from the other side of the veil. I mean, if you have these placements dominant in your natal chart, or especially on your nodes of fate, then you are a channel. You are some type of channel, even if you are just the artist, which channels in the message through your fingertips, through the paintbrush, through the paint, and then onto the canvas, which is very 12th house Piscean. The artist is one of the main archetypes held in the 12th house. So, yeah, you know, that's normal. It makes sense. Sense to me, having that a lot of planets in my 12th house, 3 planets in my 12th, and then my south node in Pisces. I'm very aware of this alchemical I'm very aware of the alchemical transcendent process of being an artist and taking a lot of your emotions, right? Pisces is water. That's the cups in tarot. That's emotional, your emotional body. And then translating it onto a canvas, or maybe you write a song, or maybe you are a dancer, or you make things. Maybe you're a woodworker or something like that. That can be very Pisces Virgo axis, because you're taking in the unseen, and you're taking in the emotional body, and then transferring it onto something physical. Virgo, earth, physical body, physical realm. So yeah, that's that nodal axis. That's that nodal axis. And something that I've noticed with Pisces, Neptune themes and the 12th is this It's almost like there's a part of waterfall. There's a part of the process that feels like you're being pulled in a direction or you're being distracted by something. I've noticed that because the 12th house is the house of the divine, a lot of people who have 12th house placements feel, the divine's hand in their life. And they often feel like they have no control over certain aspects. So like, let's say you have Venus in the 12th. You might feel like you're at the mercy of the divine when it comes to your love life, but not just your love life, like not just your romantic life, but also your receptivity. So almost like you have to go to God to receive. So your natal planets and what's in your 12th house it also just depends, on your natal chart and how that energy will express through you. So what else do I want to say about these eclipses and just like the energetics? While I'm on my walk, my revelations that I wanted to share with you guys. And recently, this Pluto in Aquarius is really hitting me hard with social media. Mind you, I'm recording this in 2025, and I am someone who has been on social media for most of my life. I think I got my very first Facebook when I was around 12 years old to play games, because they came out with these games where you could like farm online, Farmville. And they had, I don't know if anyone else remembers this, but on Facebook, they had this game called Yoville. Yoville, Yoville. And so you had like a character and you had an apartment and you could like dress up your character. Anyways, I was probably like 12, maybe a little bit even younger than that. I might have been like 11. And I begged my mom, I was like, can I please have a Facebook? I just want to play these games, right? And so it kind of started with video games in a lot of ways. And so I've really been online and interacting with social media for majority of my life. I'm 27 years old. That's 17 years of being online. And I don't know if I can do it anymore. And and I think it's not even that I can't interact with technology, because I really want to start, putting content on the YouTube, and I really want to keep continuing to write on Substack and put out articles. And I really love the idea of being able to record podcasts and interview people over FaceTime. I think technology can be a beautiful tool, and I want to take advantage of those things for what feeds my line of energy. And I'm trying to follow that thread. And it just feels like with social media, with Instagram, Facebook, threads, like the Twitter stuff, like just seems distracting. And I just feel like I can't do it anymore. And I don't know how long that feeling will last. I've been through spurts of like wanting to delete all my social media, and I don't feel like that's the answer either. But with this Pluto in Aquarius, right, when we're talking about Aquarius, and I'll just be really short with this one, and I'll make a completely separate podcast episode for Pluto, but just in the background of these eclipses was like this Pluto retrograde in Aquarius. Pluto went out of bounds. Some interesting rare transits, happening in the background of these eclipses. And we're on the other side of the portal, and I'm just like, I need a break. So I took the apps off my phone. And I don't know, maybe whoever's listening to this, you'll feel that in your body and it'll resonate with you or something. But for me, this Pluto in Aquarius is teaching me how much I value real life, and how touching the grass and sitting across from a real human and falling in love, not just online, but in real life. I want to actually have romance in my real life. Not just through words on a screen, like it just gets old. And there's this calling and this passion deep inside of me for just like the reality, and like not escaping it, and leaning in to actual physical real world stuff. And so I guess I'm being kind of pulled from that direction to move into a new direction, which is interesting. And I'm allowing it. And honestly, I feel so good after taking the apps off my phone. So my social media is still up because I know I'll eventually probably go back. But like, just to take a break, man, if you feel called to take a break, just take a break. Put it down, because I think what's really gotten to me is the illusion. And I think these eclipses, let's tie it back to Pisces Virgo Nodal Axis. Sorry about the sound, guys. I'll try to edit it out as best I can. But essentially, to tie it back into Pisces and the 12th and Neptune, they deal with illusions and like lacking clarity in a situation, or they deal with dreams that aren't like real or tangible. And I think that social media, the 12th also has to do with film. It also has to do with cameras and setting a stage, and making a movie is also art, going back to the artist. Making a movie is also art, but what is making a movie but putting on an act and having cameras and a set and costumes? And so essentially it's not real though. It's just a movie. And I started to kind of look at people's social media pages, and I'm like, this is a movie rendition, blockbuster film, Hollywood making of your life. It's not even real. And I look at mine and I'm like, mine's not even real either. So who am I? And then you have that ego dissolution, which also comes with Pisces. But then I really was leaning into Virgo, like, okay, I need to eat, I need to sleep, I need to drink water, I need to cry, I need to purge. And that finally happened last night, and now I feel a lot of clarity around where I'm at. And then I was like, dude, I feel so creative right now. I have so much passion for my life. I love what I've been able to create. So kind of just like reignited the flame. And then you just got to take that and you got to roll with it. You got to go. When you get the inspiration or you get the fire, you got to go. So I'm going. What else can I say about Pisces Virgo Axis? This is also the house of health, right? So it's not just it's not just what you're eating, because I believe, you could be eating really well and you could be very active. But if you're like the women in my mom's side of the family, where like I come from a line of women that value getting exercise. We hike mountains together. We cook from the garden. Like, we're very holistic in those ways. But the women in our family, I'm the generational curse breaker. So I've been able to kind of sit back and observe these patterns, and I need to break these curses. But one of the things is like, we're healthy, but we're not. We have autoimmune disease. We have cancer. We have shit popping up left and right all the time in my family, in the women. And a lot of it is because we might be these spiritually holistic, grounded women, but we don't always process and feel our emotions. And that's one of the things that I've noticed about the women in my family, is that I think a lot of our health issues stem from, we might be able to eat the fruit and the salad and go on the hike, but can we cry? Can we feel our feelings and move through those emotions? Because those stuck emotions, they really do kind of harbor this feeling of like resentment. And I really think that causes stress and other issues in our bodies. And we might not even know that that's what's going on until we get still with ourselves and really feel our pain. And so that's, one thing in the Virgoian spiritual space, where it's like, you can be really educated and you can know everything there is to know about special diets and food and what's healthy and what's not for your body physically. Eat fruits and vegetables, get exercise, do this, drink water, blah, blah, blah. But if someone hurts you emotionally and you don't allow those feelings to move through your body and you keep them inside, I've noticed that makes you sick, and it doesn't matter what you've done to take care of yourself at that point. You will have to feel your pain in this lifetime, no matter what. No matter what, you cannot escape it, Pisces. You cannot escape your pain, Virgo, health. You cannot escape the body. And a lot of the times, we think we're being healthy because we're eating right and we're hiking and we're doing all these things. But it's like almost our obsession with our health becomes another form of escape. It becomes another form of trying to escape the fact that, maybe we have pain in our knee, or we have pain in our left side or in our shoulder, or we have pain in our throat, or we have pain in our tooth, or we have pain somewhere that we're ignoring. And there's some kind of emotional release that needs to happen through the body. Because if you think about it, a lot of people have done the research on Kundalini and how it's all electrical currents. And so there has to be a way to move this energy. And that's just as important for our health, the spiritual body, the emotional body, even our thoughts. What kind of thoughts do you have? Because if you're over there obsessing and you're shaming yourself every time that you don't eat a piece of fruit or a vegetable, is that really healthy? Now we're getting into the mental health, the mental aspect. So health is it's a holistic, it's whole. It's all four bodies. It's all parts of you get to have that healthy nourishment, not just the food, not just the prayer in the temple, but also your thoughts, also your emotions. And I think this is part of what some of the mystics kind of miss out on, is that emotional aspect. And although, observe your thoughts, don't become them, don't let your emotions control you, some of these more stoic teachings. I'm not saying that meditation is bad, or that, Buddhism is bad, or any of that's bad. Being a mystic is a beautiful experience. It's a beautiful story to live out. But the truth is that when you are deep in your life, and you're not going off to meditate on the mountain, or you're not going off to meditate in the temple, and you've decided, okay, I want to be in society, then you're going to have emotional purging. You're going to have emotions come up, because that's the nature of being human. So it really is bringing the sacred, you're just bringing sacredness to your humanity and your human body, and these things. So it's actually really interesting. I guess, this is the axis of being spiritually embodied. So it's embodying all of it. I don't know an axis that honors your humanity more, especially when we're talking about, Virgo themes, where there's kind of this purity aspect to Virgo. When we have conversations and spiritual epiphanies around purity and even conservation of our sexuality, our sexual energy, and keeping things sacred, even our shadow work, or the things that we move through when we are doing this work and we've devoted a life to this work, some things are just sacred. Some things are between you and God. Some things are between you and your own body, and they're not meant to be shared. And you don't have to die on the cross, and it's not a savior complex. And you don't need to be ashamed of your sexuality, and you don't need to be ashamed of your body. And so it's kind of this paradoxal, Virgin Mary, the holier than thou, the Godhead, the artist, the divinity, all of it And you have to honor your primal urges, and you have to honor that you cannot escape this body until death. And why would you want to? You're here. You were not born for no reason. You were born to have this experience. And I just think that's really beautiful. And I think it's a beautiful axis to be on. And I'm honored to have it on my nodes of fate. And it's taken me a couple years to figure out Pisces energy, because it's so can be very ungrounded. You know, you can really get swept off in a dream or an idea, and you don't even realize where you're at, and your emotions are like you don't even know what you feel, because you're living through a vision, and you're experiencing your emotions through that vision, but it's not actually happening. You're not actually there. It's in your head. It's in your body. You can put yourself in that character, in that space and time, just like an actor, right? The 12th house, film, acting, making a movie. You can put yourself in that space and have all those emotions and never have actually have done it in real life. That's crazy. That's Pisces. So, and it's beautiful, stunning, love, sacred, beautiful, God, lovely. But we have to figure this stuff out, because for me personally, if you have these placements, like, you got to figure this stuff out, because what kind of life do you want to live? Do you want to live, through your visions and dreams all the time? Or do you want to actually experience them in real life, and that's the goal of Virgo. So, I love you guys so much. Thanks for being here. And yeah, this is just going to be a little sub weaving of my sacred stories, because the planets hold story. They are storytelling. They are archetypal in nature. They are literature. And they're beautiful, and they teach us a lot, and the stars are always telling stories. So I'm going to upload this. I love you guys so much, and I'll see you soon, or we'll talk soon.